I have just 24 hours to find and photograph nature's wildest flirtation. Join me as we go searching for the aerial courtship of the Marsh Harrier. And our 24 hours starts now. It's already the afternoon, so my plan of attack is to use this afternoon to do some research to find where these Marsh Harriers are likely to be, and then use all of the daylight hours tomorrow to try and get as many shots as I can to capture this very specific and very special behaviour. It's going to be a challenge, so let's get to the laptop and let's start researching. Now, Marsh Harriers do this super cool kind of play fighting in the air between themselves and their mates. And the reason they do this is because Marsh Harriers, unlike other birds of prey, actually nest on the ground. And that's quite unusual for birds of prey. When I tell people this, they're honestly quite surprised, which is always quite fun for me. But for us, this piece of information is very important because if we want to capture this behaviour of them interacting in the air, we have to find somewhere where they're likely to nest. Now, Marsh Harriers nest on the ground in very dense reeds. So to have any chance of capturing this picture within the next 24 hours, we're going to have to be looking for an area of wetlands with very, very thick reeds. So what I'm going to do is go on Google Maps and try and find some land use data as well to try and find out the best areas to see the Marsh Harrier. Now, while I do this, maybe I tell you a little bit about the Marsh Harrier so that you understand why they do this kind of dancing in the air. Now, Marsh Harriers, unlike other birds of prey, are polyamorous. So a single male has several females that he mates with. He also has several nests that he has to provide for. So what the female wants to make sure is that this male can provide for her and the chicks. So they do this sort of play fighting, dancing, throwing food to one another to prove that he's able to provide. It's a stressful life being a male Marsh Harrier, isn't it? I don't envy it whatsoever. Because it sounds a bit silly building a nest on the ground, but when you see how dense these reeds are, you can see how well protected the nests are from mammals like us, but also from birds, because the Marsh Harrier is quite big, it can defend itself from birds like crows. So it's quite adequately protected, these nests, and it's quite an effective strategy. Now, I've managed to find a list of different bird boxes in my local area, and I've been able to filter them down using Google Maps to areas that have wetlands and have lots of thick reeds. And I've picked one in particular that I'm going to go to early tomorrow morning because the best time to see Marsh Harriers is very early in the morning and towards dusk. So I'm going to have to get up somewhat early tomorrow morning. So it's best that I go now and start packing and then get an early night. So I need my bag. Now, I'm going to take this green sort of jacket with me, very muted colours. To be honest with you, probably don't need the green jacket because we're going to be in a bird hide, but I'm taking it with me mainly because I think it's going to be a bit cold because we're leaving quite early and the mornings are still a little cold and a little chilly. And obviously the bird watching hut is in the shade. So it's going to be cold, take a coat. So I'm going to take a coat, I'll take that with my bag. Then in terms of to actually see the Marsh Harrier, I have my binoculars. So these are 8 by 32, so kind of broad, vivid binoculars. They're good for seeing stuff. A little minimal on the zoom though. So we're going to need something to zoom in and get the shot. For that, I'm going to be taking my Canon camera with a 170 to 500mm lens. So this is going to be what we're going to be using to take the actual picture. So yeah, going to play around with the settings a little bit. Not sure about how the sun is going to be tomorrow, what the weather's looking like. We only have 24 hours. It's now or never, so I have to go with whatever happens tomorrow. So I'm going to obviously have to use the manual settings to change things so that we can try and get this picture if possible. And the final and probably most important thing is my thermos, because tomorrow morning I'm going to need a lot of coffee. And this is the thing, I'm a bit apprehensive. We've left it a little bit too late, to be honest. They do this behavior for a week where they're in the air, they're trying to find a mate, and they start doing this kind of swooping and diving and play fighting with one another. So we have pretty much one day. After this, they're going to be breeding and they're going to be settling on the nest, and we're not going to see this behavior anymore. So it's really last minute. It's going to be quite intense tomorrow. So let's see how we get on. So good morning, guys. It's just gone 7 AM and we're going to go to a bird hut and kind of sit there for a couple of hours and see what we can see.
this is what we came here to see. The Marsh Harrier.
So these Marsh Harriers are actually super cool birds. So they're quite big, they're bigger than a buzzard, and they travel here all the way from Africa. So these birds would have just got here from Africa, and that means they're really hungry. So they do a lot of hunting right now on the fields behind me and around me. And what the male is going to do to prove to the female that he's worthy to mate with her is he's going to go and hunt, find food, bring it back here, and then he's going to throw these morsels to the female in the air. So he swoops up very high, he releases the prey, the female comes swiping in and she grabs the prey in the air. It's super cool. And what we're also seeing, we've already seen a little bit of this so far, is they'll have kind of these play fights in the air. So the male will swoop up and then swoop down and grab the female in the air to prove to her that he's a good mate, that he can hunt, that he's capable of looking after the chicks and the brood. And this only goes on for a week, so we're actually towards the end of the week, so we've left it a little bit late. But even still, it's super cool to see, because next week they're going to start breeding, they're going to start nesting, whereas this week they've got these displays going on, so we have a very short time frame.
The problem I have right now is that I'm shooting into the light, which is a little bit of a nightmare. And this morning when the sunrise, there was very low clouds, so we didn't really get a proper sunrise. The sun just kind of appeared and was bright, which makes getting the finer detail a little bit more difficult. I think though I have got something pretty interesting on the camera, but I need to review it later because the little LCD screen isn't too good for seeing what I've got. So we might have found something interesting, but I need to double check. So it's got a little bit quieter now, so I'm hoping that this means that the Marsh Harrier is out hunting, and soon he will bring some food back for his mate, or prospective mate I should say, and then we're going to see something really cool. So that's what I'm hoping. He's out hunting. Let's hope he's successful. Let's hope that they put on display.
So we're already one battery down. Luckily I brought 2 more fully charged batteries. So we've got the second one in the camera, so we have one full one after this, but it just goes to remind you, bring as many batteries as you can. Don't risk it, because when you're in a situation like this and you run out of power, it's super annoying.
So we're getting some good views of the Marsh Harrier coming in. The problem is over on this side, it's very overexposed because we're backlit with the sun. But when he goes over to the left here, he's able to be seen a little bit better. So I hope those pictures come out. Yeah. What's that?
The other problem is that in order to get like a nice blurred artistic background, you need the bird to be quite far forward and the background to be quite far back. And this setup isn't really working too well because all of the sort of scenery around me is quite close to me, with the subject being quite close as well, which is nice because you can see the birds really well, but for those sort of shots it's a problem. And then for the lens I have, it's not got the frame to be able to get really far away where the kikadus are to get those really detailed shots. So I think we need a more sort of environmental shot that we're going for here to try and make this work. Or what I'm hoping for is an action shot, because you can pull up with a little bit of photographical inconsistency if you have a really cool piece of action that you're capturing. So that's what we're going to try and do. I've got myself a sandwich. Oh, whenever I touch the sandwich, I see the kikadoosh. It's a very Dutch sandwich. Brown bread with speculaas spread. Now speculaas is like Biscoff biscuit that's been made into like a paste, a bit like peanut butter. So it's basically a cookie sandwich, like a biscuit sandwich. It tastes nice though, especially with the coffee. It's like having a Biscoff biscuit with your coffee, but the brown bread's fairly good for you. The Biscoff spread is not, but anyway.
So I just saw the pair really well. They came from over here, went around the back of the birding hut and back this way, and the whole time they were kind of in flight, which is super cool to see. And I hope some of the pictures worked, although the autofocus was kind of freaking out a little bit as they were moving, because they were moving so much. So we'll see what the pictures look like. Funnily enough, there is actually a swallow's nest in here up the top, and you can also tell that by the mess that's on the ground. So we're approaching now the midday sun, so we've been here since this morning, so a fair few hours. So I'm going to go back now, review the photos, and then maybe come back here this evening, because midday sun isn't the best sun to be shooting in. So when the sun is behind the birdhouse, that might be the best time to come back. So now it's the afternoon, the light is a lot more better. So the sun is now behind us, which means everything in front of us is lit really well. And I've already got some pictures of the Marsh Harrier that look a lot better. So we're going to stay here for a little bit, see what happens. Kingfisher. Quick. That was super cool. I hope the pictures turn out alright. I think that's the Marsh Harrier at the back there. Hold on, let's try and refocus. Yep. Oh, he's just gone behind the reeds. Oh, here he comes. So guys, we're just leaving the hut. That was so cool. I ended on a kingfisher, which was really nice to see. A bit of annoying for my chaptering though. It messes up the video order, because that was meant to be a separate video. Either way, we did get the shot we want. I'm actually going to show you it now. I reviewed the pictures earlier, so I know we got it. So let's see it. So here is the picture we took, and we got the picture of these two Marsh Harriers fighting one another, or at least play fighting each other, and it's super cool. This is a super rare behaviour, and we got one of the few pictures from this season of it happening. Now, the picture could be a bit better, it could be a bit more in focused, maybe it's a slight bit overexposed, but it's an action shot, so the action makes up for that. Now, we also got some pictures of the Marsh Harrier fighting with crows, and one of these crows had a fair chunk of feathers missing, which I think is down to that fight it had with the Marsh Harrier, so they were pretty cool to see as well. But we got super lucky, because you can only get this photo for 1 week of a year, and we left it to the last day, so we got this in 24 hours, and in fact we had a little bit of time to spare. And this is quite nice, because wildlife is unpredictable, and unlike with our last video where we went looking for an Icelandic gyrfalcon, where it wasn't so easy and we needed a little bit more time. So we were successful this time, but what animal should I photograph next? Let me know in the comments down below. Whichever comment gets the most likes, I'll go and find that animal next. And make sure you're subscribed so that you see that upcoming video. Until the next time, bye bye.